Hello and welcome to Friday's bonus edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where I get to do exactly that. Do what the channel was originally invented for, which was to try to teach people how to solve the Times cryptic crossword way back in the day. And yeah, today's puzzle, the snitch rating says that it's a little easier than usual. So I think the last two Fridays puzzles have somewhat strangely not been the most difficult of the week. Now let me just double check. Have I got the dictionary? There's the dictionary all loaded up. I don't think we need anything else. I've got no birthdays to do today. So let's get cracking and I will talk you through my thoughts as we go. Oh, I should actually have looked at the time, shouldn't I, of some of the other solvers have achieved, but I forgot to do that. Anyway, one across. Warm tribute, last of many. Okay. Now, the only thing I've got from this clue is the phrase last of many, which I read very literally. What is the last letter of the word many? And that's Y. And that suggests that the end of this clue is wordplay. So remember, every single cryptic crossword clue can be divided into two pieces. One piece will be the definition, and it's almost always at the start or end of the clue. And one piece will be the wordplay. Now, because last of many is suggesting Y, and there's nothing else to suggest this Y would not be at the end, we're looking, I think, for a 5-letter word for a tribute. And the whole thing means warm. And the answer is, I want it to be something like friendly, but I can't get it. Let's try one down. A silent guy climbing with relations. Yeah, okay. So the only way in which this clue is easy is if you are used to so-called crossword ease and euphemisms. So again, the only bit of this clue that I had any clue about as I read it was the final two words, with relations. And if you have relations with somebody, it's a euphemism for having sex, isn't it? And if you have sex, you do it. So believe it or not, it and relations are synonymous in cryptic crossword land. So if we are putting it at the end of this word, let's just posit that that could be the case. And that's often how you have to solve these clues. You have ideas, and then you try and sort of filter the rest of the clue around that idea. Now we might be looking for a word that means silent that goes in here. Well, I can think of a word, tacit. And does that work with the rest of it? Guy climbing. Well, a word for a guy is a cat. And then, as a sort of trendy man is a cat. And then cat climbing, it's a down clue. So climbing is telling us to reverse the word cat. And that gives us tacit, which is probably not easy unless you've seen with relations being it before. Now, we'll check. I'll show you that at the end, by the way. Relations and it in the dictionary. One across. Warm, then. A tribute is you give somebody a toast. Toasty, yes. Okay. If you give someone a toast, you pay tribute to them, don't you? So that's going to be good. Let's try 3 down. Tough time with press. Well, I haven't got this, but time can be abbreviated to T. Again, we do this every week, but it bears repetition. Let's just go to T in the dictionary. So you can't just abbreviate. You can't look at this clue and go, press begins with P, so could it mean a P? No, it has to be supported by the dictionary. So if we trot through the dictionary here, what are we looking for? Time, aren't we? There we go. T equals time. So if you remember your physics equations, V equals U plus AT, for example, T in that equation is time. So this time is probably this T. And then we need a 3-letter word for a press or to press. And the whole thing will mean tough. I haven't got that. Let's try 10 across then. Change regular journey. Convert, that means change. A regular journey is sort of, oh, commute, I suppose. Yeah, okay, if you commute something, you do change it. And a commute is obviously a regular journey that a commuter might undertake on their way to work. So what is this? Oh, thug. Yeah, okay. If you press something, you do hug it. And rather than tough as an adjective here, tough is being used as a noun. A tough is a thug, a heavy. So thug is going to be right there. And then 2 down. It's a crime. Let's see if we can get it without doing anything else. It's a crime. No, I haven't got it. To break a truce. Oh, armistice. Oh, it's an anagram. Okay, well, that's why I couldn't think of a crime that was 9 letters long. So this is armistice. It's an anagram because it's a crime has to break. And again, if some people think, oh, aren't cryptic crosswords all anagrams? And then they look at clues and they try and anagram various words. It's true that there are a lot of anagrams in cryptic crosswords, but there must always be something telling you it's an anagram. You can't, it can't just be a series of words and you guess which ones to anagram. The clue will always tell you what you need to anagram. So here, it's a crime has to break. Let's see what this one is. Hard drinker. Knocked back moonshine. Yeah, okay. It's a clever clue, actually, isn't it? Because it reads as if it's all about a drunkard drinking hooch. Whereas actually, moonshine has a different meaning as well. It means rubbish or nonsense. So, hard, if you see that on your pencil, if you see H on a pencil, that stands for hard. So H can be an abbreviation for hard, and a drinker is a sot, S-O-T. Let's look at some of these words. Sot, we will find, is a drinker. I think it's probably a drunk. Someone stupefied by alcohol, indeed. So that's knocked back. So hard, H plus sot is all knocked back, all reversed to give tosh, which of course means rubbish. So the top left, not too bad. We had a bit of trouble with toasty, but once we got tacit, it was all right. Let's try 9 down. Ply rex say with beer. Yeah, okay. So I have got this. I'm trying to think about... Yeah, see, the problem with this clue is it's a whole series of things that for a regular cryptic crossword solver are almost second nature. But if you've never seen anything I'm about to say before, you will think this is complete and utter lunacy. And I understand your point of view, but it is like learning a new language, learning to solve cryptic crosswords. So one good tip is to think about short synonyms. And the word beer has a very, very good short synonym which comes up a lot. And that synonym is ale. A-L-E. So if beer here was ale, we'd be looking for a word that looked like this probably. That means ply. Now the rest of this is, well, say. What does say mean? It can mean to pronounce, obviously, but it's also... you use it to indicate an example of something, don't you? So, for example, e.g. is very often say. So if we do that, now all we have to do is to think what letter might rex be, and rex is R. That's from the Latin. If we look at R in the dictionary, we'll find rex for king there, and Regina for queen. Regina's there, rex, there we go, king. So if you see rex in a cryptic crossword clue, it's absolutely likely to be R. And that gives us to regale, which is to ply. If you regale someone with a story, you might ply them with it. I think there's a slightly... Yeah, it feels a slightly stretched synonym to me, but that's probably because I just don't know the dictionary definition of the word ply. I think if you ply someone with alcohol, you would feed it to them. If you regale someone with a story, you would tell it to them. So ply and regale, I can well imagine are synonymous, but I wouldn't have used them in speech. But I wouldn't change this answer. So why don't we have a look at ply and see what it exactly says? To bend or fold, that's probably not it. To work steadily. Yeah, to keep supplying or assailing with. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? There's nothing there that feels naturally with regale. Let's try with regale. I mean, maybe I've got it wrong. I don't think I have. To treat, to stories, to give pleasure to feast. Regalia. That's as a noun, isn't it? It's being used there, singular, royal privilege. So it is this meaning, to treat to stories, to give pleasure to. Let's go back to ply. Did I miss a... to bend or to fold? It's interesting, isn't it? I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to change the answer, but the way in which ply and regale are synonymous, it just feels slightly stretched to me. Let's try 4 across. Learned or learned of English Square, housing University College. Learned of English Square. Square is interesting. I'm wondering whether it means a square number, like 9. So E is probably English. University is almost certainly U. Oh, learned, educated, or... I was trying to put U and C for college in a word that began with E to mean learned of. All right, let's just put educated in. That would require dated to be square. Yes, if something is square, it is dated, isn't it? It's from the past. I have often been described as square and anachronistic. Yeah, I'm sort of, out of my time. All the music I listened to was made just a ludicrous number of years ago now, which I love 60s music. And early 70s. Well, no, 70s were fine too. Yeah. Anyway, that's how this works. So it's E plus dated around UC for University College. And look, we get all these starting letters now. So 5 down. Frail. Stranger in empty doorway. Okay. So it's a nice, very nice clue in terms of it conjures up an image. But also, I think this works very nicely. So if you empty out a word, empty doorway screams to me, okay, I've got to empty out the word doorway. I'm going to take out its middle. And if I do that, I'm just left with D and Y. And then I have to put a 5-letter word for stranger inside that DY. So immediately we can write DY here. And we're looking for a word that means frail. And if something is stranger, it's odder, and doddery means frail. So quite straightforward when you read the clue, very, in the way it seems most natural to read it, given it has to have a cryptic interpretation. Now let's try, should we try 11 across first? Outline all but first of paradigm shifts. Okay, yes. So again, bearing in mind that one part of this clue needs to be wordplay, what parts of the clue are telling us about the positions of things or telling us to change things? And clearly the word shifts here. If letters shift, they might be moving around. So it seems like shifts is very likely to be part of the wordplay, which means the other side of the clue is likely to be the definition. So outline or outline all but. But there aren't words that mean outline all but. So it's almost certainly a 7-letter word that means outline. Now, all but first of paradigm. What could that mean if we're trying to read it cryptically? Well, the way I think it most naturally reads is we want all of the word paradigm except the first letter, all but first of paradigm. And that would give us ARADIGM, which is 7 letters. And if those 7 letters shift, if we anagram them, well, I think we can get diagram. And a diagram is an outline. So, again, very fair clue, and not too tricky if you've done a few of these before. Let's try 6 down. Green plan, green practice. Yes, okay, I have got this. So the way I didn't get this quickly. In fact, for many seconds as I read the clue, I didn't have a clue what it meant. The way I got to it was, I think, using Mark's most favoured tip for Times crosswords, or indeed any cryptic crossword, and that is to have a bank of short synonyms in your brain. So if you see the word plan, can we think of any short synonyms for plan? Now, the first synonym I would come up with is map, but map doesn't look very good here, does it? So can we think of a short synonym for plan that might begin with C blank A? And I thought of chart. A plan is a chart. And then all of a sudden it becomes easier, because can I think of any words even that fit here? Well, I can. Chartreuse, or I don't even know how to say it, but I know this is a word. And reuse, if you reuse something, that is a green practice, isn't it? Recycling and reuse is definitely a green practice. And chartreuse is, I think, a shade of green. So that is certainly what I'd enter there. Let's try 7 down. Bones. Well, do I know any bones that fit here? I think the tarsus is a bone, and I think its plural is tarsi. So that's what I'm expecting this to be, but let's actually read the clue. Sailor. All the nice girls love a sailor. All the nice girls love a tar. Tar is a very common short synonym. Shortened by injury at work. Oh, okay. So it's actually tar, T-A-R, shortened. So we just take the T and the A. And then an injury at work is repetitive stress injury. So that gives you tarsi, which they are the bones that I thought might emerge. I wasn't expecting RSI there to pop up. 8 down. Humble setter's carriage. Humble. If you're humble, you are diminutive or something. I'm setter's carriage. I don't know that one yet. Let's see if we can get 13 across to help us. Oh, composer, a very terrifying thought, because even if you are something of a classical music buff, let me tell you, there are a lot of composers that cryptic crossword writers seem to know. Which may not immediately spring to your mind. So, composer and friend sit near Brahms and Liszt. Oh, Brahms and Liszt, I think. Isn't that Cockney rhyming slang? For being drunk. Or am I getting that wrong? I'm probably getting that wrong in a very unfortunate way. Composer. I'm thinking friend could be pal or mate as well, I suppose. Palace. Sit near. Oh. Goodness me. Right. Okay, we are going to have to talk about this, because I think Brahms and Liszt here is being used as Cockney rhyming slang for drunk. As in pissed. And if that's true, I think what the clue is saying is write a word for friend, pal, and then sit near, treated in a drunken way, would be anagrammed. So it's something like palace. I don't know who this is. I want to say Palestrine almost, or something. Maybe it's pronounced Palestrine. or palan. See, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know the name here. So I think it's something like that. But that could be wrong in many ways. Don't like the look of that E there, actually. Humble. Setter's carriage. I'm not sure. Okay, so let's delete the bits of that I'm not sure about. We're going to have to, I think, work our way back up here. Let's try 16 across. Goddess regularly suppressing her reaction. Goddess regularly suppressing her reaction. Regularly suppressing a string of letters makes me think that we need to knock out regular letters from her reaction. But oh, no, that is right. Erato. Okay, we're looking for the muse. I think was Erato the muse of poetry? I'm not sure. Yeah. So if we take her reaction, you can see it's 10 letters long. If you knock out the odd numbered letters 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9, you will find you're left with Erato, who was one of the muses in the Greek mythology. So let's try 17 down. Supporter, abbreviated part of speech by old Roman Republican. Wow, supporter, advocate or something. Abbreviated part of part of speech might be an adverb or an adjective. So adverb, if we shorten it, abbreviate it. Adverb by old Roman Republican. Okay, what about advocate? But that's not spelled like that. I don't know. Old Roman Republican, I was thinking of Cato. I don't know what's going on there. Right, okay, we're going to have to get into this some way. Right, let's try this. Female experts. I'm thinking female can be F, and experts, do I know a short synonym for experts? Aces. So faces might be the start of this clue. Declare it spares one's blushes. Okay, so how about a face saver? If you declare something, you aver it. A-V-E-R. Oh, and I put the wrong letter in there. Face saver. There we go. Oh, and that supports something like adverbial or something. For 17 down. Okay, let's see if we can use these starting letters. Dad finally scrubbed and emptied mug. Dad, father, finally scrubbed. So if we cross off the last letter of father, okay, how about fathead then? Yeah, it's fathead. So all we had to do there was think of a word for dad, and father I think is the most. I mean, the funny thing is you'd often be thinking of a short synonym in a cryptic crossword like pop or sire even, but I thought of father because I had the F. So we scrubbed the final letter from father, and emptied is saying empty out the word and. What did we have earlier? We had to empty out some other word earlier. Where was that? Was it 5 down? Empty, yeah. So empty's been used twice in the same way. No, oh, hang on. So we emptied out. In 5 down the doorway, and here we're emptying out the word and, i.e. taking out its middle, and then we get AD and we get fathead, and a mug is a fathead. So 20 down. Hypocrisy. Cant is a short synonym for hypocrisy. About division of territory. Okay, well in Switzerland is divided into cantons. They are divisions of territory. So cant for hypocrisy. If something is about something, it's on it. So that gives us canton. And let me just show you that cant is so defined in case you're not familiar with it. I'm only familiar with it from cryptic crosswords. cant, to speak in a whining or wheedling manner. Oh, there we go. To talk in an effectively solemn or hypocritical way. So cant is the first meaning. Now, demeanour fits there now. Carriage is your demeanour. Okay, so if you humble someone, you demean them. And setters, see the apostrophe there? It's saying things that belong to setters. Well, the setter of the crossword, things that belong to the setter of the crossword, as writing it, would be their things. And so in the possessive, our. So demean and our gives us demeanour. Oh, goodness. So, oh, hang on. So palestrina, that's what I thought. That's what I wanted to put, but I didn't think I had the right anagram fodder. Maybe I do. Oh, because I've got the E from here. Yes, sorry. I think I have heard of this word. I just didn't think I had the right anagram fodder for it, but I do. So palestrina, I think, is the answer. I don't know what famous pieces that Palestrina wrote, I'm afraid, but I always look forward to the comments where I learn a lot, actually, every week when I do these puzzles. So it's an example, really, of I think how somebody who does a lot of cryptic crosswords acquires a very superficial knowledge of some areas, vague awareness that this is probably a composer, but don't actually have to know any of the composer's music. Anyway, let's try 27. My darling returned for a dance. Well, a one-step is a dance. Darling could be a pet. So that. So I quite like this ending in step. I think this might be one step. The way I'm reading it is quite tricky, and I might be wrong. But the way I'm reading it is like this. My darling, as a phrase, is synonymous with pet, isn't it? Because you might say my darling to somebody, or you might say pet. It's in my mind anyway, it's a sort of northern term of affection, pet. Northern England anyway. And then that returns, so that gives us the tep. So we now have to justify ones. Now I think ones is just for a person, you know. For a singular thing would be ones with an apostrophe s. So I think the ones here is actually being defined by for a. That's how I read it. Although, no, the only way, okay, you can't do that because the word the ordering's wrong. My darling returned is pet. So then needs to be something that says, okay, but the ones part of this comes first. Now for could be saying put next to a word that means a, the reversal of pet. So for this to be right, ones needs to be the a here. I think one's plural and a. It's one's skateboard. It's a skateboard. Maybe one step is wrong. I don't know any other dances. I mean, maybe this is just total nonsense what I've written here. I'm slightly unsure about that. It's fine if a and ones are synonymous. Then it's fine. So perhaps that's the thing it's just jarring with me slightly and shouldn't be. I'm just struggling to think of a good example sentence in my mind where those two things would work in substitute. Let's try this one. Mark's shock when failing to finish. Well, okay. I don't know what this is, but I understand the structure of the clue. We're looking for a word that means mark. Now, mark is tricky because it could be a mark or to mark, couldn't it? And those things have lots of different synonyms. And then we need a word for shock, which is going to fail to finish. So a 5-letter word for shock. Well, that's quite an interesting point. Sorry. These are things I find interesting, but when a word fails to finish, you might say, well, how do I know it's not an 8-letter word that's failing to finish? It just isn't by convention. So when something fails to finish, or when something's shortened, it's almost always only shortened by one letter. So we can basically assume that this is a 5-letter word for shock. A shock could be like you get a shock of hair, so we have got to be a bit careful. It could mean shock as in stun, obviously. So we need a 5-letter word for shock. We're going to shorten that by 1 letter, and the whole thing means mark. Scare, I think, may be what we're looking for, because scar is a mark. So shorten the word scare. Okay, so advocated or something. Abbreviated part of speech. Maybe ADV is an abbreviation for adverb. It could well be, actually. By old, Roman Republican. No, old Roman is Cato, and then Republican can be abbreviated to R, and that gives us advocator. And an advocator is a supporter. Wow, that's not easy, is it? Or at least it's not easy to totally pass the clue. Right, what have we got here? Fabric-covered walls of library, echo. Well, it must be reply. The walls of the library. How could we read that in a cryptic way? Well, if a word can be viewed as having walls, which I think many people would debate, but I don't mind. The walls would be the sort of the letters on either side of the word, wouldn't they? So L and Y. So I think we were looking for L and Y at the end. Fabric covered. Rep. Rep has a lot of peculiar meanings. Rep can be a representative. I think it can mean theatre as well, but it can probably mean fabric coloured. And I mean, given we're looking for a word that means echo, R-blank-P-L-Y. I'm just checking in my brain. I think it must be reply. So I'm not going to change that, but let's actually see if we can justify. Why is fabric covered rep? Maybe it's just fabric is rep, because that's covering in a down clue. That's on top of, it's covering ly. There it is. Rep is theatre. Sorry, that's, yeah, to act as a rep. Oh, corded cloth. There we go. Rep, also with double P. So it is just saying it's a type of fabric, and it covers, it's on top of ly. Let's try 25. Reportedly flog, sell, prisoner here. Okay, if you sell S-E-L-L, you flog it, don't you? Flog something, you sell it. But sell and sell C-E-L-L sound exactly the same when we say them. They are homophones of one another. And the clues always have to be very careful in homophones to make it clear exactly which, because obviously there's no checking letter in this position. So the clue has to be very precise to tell us which of these it wants. But it is very precise. It says reportedly flog. So it sounds like a word that means flog, sell, S-E-L-L, but actually what we're looking for is the defined answer, which is at the other side of the clue, prisoner here. And you find a prisoner in a cell. So commotion, flurry, I wondered. No. As hairy hosts left. It is flurry. A commotion is a flurry. And hairy here is furry. And furry is hosting. It has within it L for left. And that gives us flurry. So, okay, so we finally worked our way round the grid. And we've just got to, if we get 15 down, we'd probably be happy, wouldn't we? We'd think we could solve it then. Let's try 15 down. Unattractive male, lacking cleaner, clothes. Unattractive male, lacking cleaner, clothes. Well, I have got this. I think this might have deserved a question mark. How have I got this? I don't really know. I think the way that my brain worked its way around this was do I know any short synonyms for cleaner? And there is one that comes up quite a lot in cryptic crosswords, which is char. You may have heard of a char lady. So I think it's an old word, char. Let's in fact check that. Char. Oh, spelled it wrong. Char. My chair is getting squeakier and squeakier. A charwoman. Let's double click charwoman. Is that an old... A woman employed to do rough cleaning. It doesn't say it's an old word, but I believe it is. But if we think of cleaner as possibly being char, what would be lacking a cleaner would be? And that made me think, well, if I was lacking a cleaner, I would be charless. Now, if charless, lacking cleaner, clothes, so it surrounds, when we put clothes on, you know, they're on the outside of us, aren't they? So clothes, an abbreviation for male, well, that's unsurprisingly M, we can make charmless, and charmless is unattractive. So it's a strange one. I'm sort of, I feel a bit embarrassed at having solved that like that, but I did. 15 across, smart. Chic is what I'm thinking. Chicanery, I think this is going to be. If something is smart, it's chic from a fashion perspective. Visionary, welcome. Oh man, wow. I mean, it must be chicanery. Tricks is chicanery. Visionary there, I think, is airy. A-E-R-Y, which is a very strange word. And that welcomes N for new. I mean, I would associate airy, A-E-R-Y, with sort of Spencerian English. It feels like the fairy queen, doesn't it? And airy, I would have said, meant spectral, rather than necessarily a visionary. I think of being a seer, a prophet. But I mean, this must be right. So let's. I'm not changing it. So let's see if we can. Aries. Oh, visionary. No, it just is listed. So I was sort of right. I just didn't think of the visionary aspect of it. Let's try 18 across now. So revise must be amend, mustn't it? Fourth letter following word of agreement. Well, the word of agreement is amen. If you say amen, you're agreeing with somebody. And the fourth letter is the D, A, B, C, D. So that's not too difficult. Let's try 21. Reverse engineering of terminus. Okay, well, the thing that I see here is that of terminus is 10 letters. And if we engineer something, we fiddle with it, don't we? We reconstitute it. So I'm very much expecting, I haven't got this yet, misfortune is what it is. A reverse is a misfortune. So I was expecting it to be an anagram. And then once we actually look at the checking letters, it's not too difficult to unscramble. So yeah, I mean, 15 down's proving hugely valuable. Heroic Leander, oddly, or oddly dismissed as unmanly. Well, okay, so this is a bit like that other clue, isn't it? Okay. I'm not sure, actually. Oddly dismissing letters suggests we're only going to take the evenly numbered letters, either from heroic Leander or just Leander. Now, I think what we're actually looking for here is just from Leander. And then we're looking for a 4-letter word, which means heroic. And I'm only thinking epic there. An epicene. I think this is a word. And it must mean unmanly, although that wouldn't have been what I guessed it meant. So this is where my brain is telling me this clue's going, but I'm not going to look this one up in the dictionary yet, because I'm not sure about it. I'm going to see if the I is justified and the E is justified in the checking letters before we go and go dictionary hunting for that one. So this must be solitude, loneliness, and anxiety after loss of heart. Well, let's put solitude in. Loneliness and anxiety. So can I add a letter between the I and the T here to give a 9-letter word, which means anxiety? Because then the clue works fine, doesn't it? It's a 9-letter word for anxiety. It loses its heart, it loses its central letter, and it means loneliness. Anxiety. I'm not thinking of it, which is really weird. No, it's not weird that I don't know the answer. It's just I expected that one to just be obvious. Okay, well, let's try this one then. 22 down. Where spirit is made in a still, calm as before. Yeah, I think you make alcohol in a still, don't you? And if something is still, it's calm. As before is weird there. Is it a triple definition? If something is still something, it's as before. I think that's a triple definition. Where spirit is made, calm, and if something is as before, it is still in the same state it was. Right, let's have it now. If this was solitude, we expect this to end in T. An impressive way to hold up present that's most generous. Most generous. Handsomest is what I'm thinking of. Who gives someone a generous gift gives a handsome gift. I'm not sure. Let's put that in. Let's see if we can justify it. An impressive way to hold up present. Way could be street, ST. No, hang on. No, I don't really understand this. An impressive way to hold up. I mean, present. An impressive. Sorry, I know I'm just reading it over and over again, trying to reverse engineer it. Handsomest. I mean, I would not change this answer. If I'd have been doing my normal trot through the Times, this crossword would already have been submitted many minutes ago with me giving no thought to these clues. It's good for me to do this once a week at least. It forces me to actually read the clues. An impressive way to hold up present. That's most generous. So that's most generous is the definition. An impressive way is, I mean, that. If you present something with something, you hand. Yeah, okay. To hold. Okay, if you present someone with something, you hand it to them. So present and hand, I think, are synonymous. Okay, so if you say something is, oh, that is some shot, you might say to if somebody hits a good golf shot, that's some shot. You're saying that's an impressive shot, aren't you? So some, I think, here is being used to mean impressive, and then st is being used to indicate way, as in street. So an impressive way is some street, is holding up, it is suspending, has on top of it to present. The verb to present would be to hand something. That gives us handsomest, which is most generous. So it's quite difficult to understand exactly, or difficult for me at least, to understand exactly how that works, but it does. So is this solicitude without it? So solitude and solicitude, is that anxiety? I would have said solicitude is more to do with sort of asking people to do things. But what else could this be? Anxiety. Okay, so I wouldn't change this. I would submit this. But why don't we go for have a look at the dictionary and see if we can. So solicitude is a word. Oh, state of being solicitous does mean sort of asking people to do things, but actually solicitude, there it is, anxiety or uneasiness, troubled mind. So that is how this works, and I'm slightly surprised about that, because normally when something in cryptic crosswords loses its heart, it normally loses its central letter. Here it's actually saying its central 2 letters. We were looking for a 10-letter word, and we had to lose 2 letters from the middle of that word. So that's what threw me a bit there. So loneliness is justified. Now epicene, let's see why that is. Epicene, common to both sexes, from the Greek epikoinos, of common gender, sometimes restricted to those words that have one grammatical gender. Okay, so what was the definition here? 26. Unmanly. Well, is that necessarily epicene if something is unmanly? It's interesting, isn't it? Might have given that a question mark. Oh, effeminate is actually one of the definitions. Okay, that probably is unmanly. Yeah, it is. Okay, so no, that's fine. It doesn't need a question mark. Right, so let's go through some of this then and have a look at. So let's look at tacit first of all. So relations, I thought was being used as in to have relations. Where is this going to be? Relation. Here we go. In the plural. There it is. Last definition. And if we look at it, there we go. Again, it's always anything sort of vulgar or sex related. They always put it at the very end. So it, the final definition, is what's making it synonymous with relations in the clue. Now, thug. I was going to look at thug. That was the same as tough, I was claiming. So tough as a noun. Here we go. A rough or aggressive person. So that's how that one works. Let's look at chartreuse. Is it a drink? Is it a green drink, chartreuse? Yeah, a green liqueur. A greenish yellow colour. So there it is, as well as being a Carthusian monastery. Palestrina won't be in the dictionary because that's obviously going to be a proper noun. Regale we didn't really understand, did we? Oh, hang on, I've not submitted this. It might be wrong. Submit without leaderboard because I'm not racing. If regale's wrong, then that has foxed me. No, it's not wrong. Okay. Tarsi we thought about. One step I didn't quite. So yeah, so regale and one step. It was just made me slightly uneasy. Fat head, still, triple definition, very rare to see one of those. Canton, advocator. I I don't think there was anything, once I'd finally understood it, there wasn't anything very, very unusual. It was just hard to fully discern everything that was going on. Now, to commute, let's look at the two definitions of commute. Commute, yeah, there we go, to transform. And then a regular journey as well. So within the same head word, if you like, it's not commute 1 and commute 2 here. It's actually just the clue is playing on two meanings from the same root. Chicanery. Oh no, we looked at airy, didn't we? Yeah, so I think we are there. It's another very interesting puzzle. I mean, that's what you get every day from the Times. Very interesting puzzles that, even if you have a bit of experience, will still give you a great deal of pleasure. So let's have a look. So Moan John McCabe, 4 minutes for that puzzle, which is crazy quick. Magoo, that's Mark, with 5 minutes 10. Misty Gris is real. It's funny, some of these are definitely real. I'm pretty sure, definitely not real. Pontius, I'm pretty sure, has been proved to be a typist. So literally, no matter how hard the puzzle is, Pontius always takes 5 minutes 13 seconds, or very near it, to finish the puzzle, which means that Pontius is just a very slow typist. So the snitch rating, it analyses everybody who solves it regularly, and it works out whether or not the time that they take has any sort of meaningful variation across difficulties, because of course it should do, shouldn't it? And the so-called neutrinos are thereby filtered out. Andy Fisher is real. You tend to find the longer you go, the less likely you are to find typists, because why would you bother? Yeah, I mean, all these names I think are real. So it could be done very quickly, especially if you Sudoku lover who just types in the answer every day. Why? Your guess is as good as mine. In fact, I don't do this all the time, but shall I do a quick bit of racing? Okay, I'll do a quick race at the end of the Times Quick Cryptic. Let's see. I don't know. This might be a fool's errand, but let's try and race a bit. Energy left. Initially joins sporting venue. Don't know. That's bad. That's Elfin. I'll explain these afterwards if I'm racing. Trendy's last ruined Pacific location. Easter Island. Okay, that might be helpful. Let's try that. A lot of criticism about old patient. Stick. I'm not sure. Producing chopped fruit product. Raising, and without its end, astute CIA and USA go off the rails with introduction of spies. Don't know, can't see it. Account about Liberal member entirely an alert. Let's alarm something. Alarm call. Still, I'll get angling gear round river. Inert or something. Yeah, it is inert. Police work not involved with deceit. Detection, is it? I think it's detection. Not checking the anagrams. Oh, cook. Coaching, omitting a selection of Noki, it must be. Studied, was inclined to receive element of basic education. Learnt. Line of monarchs, not the first, following the law. Licit or something? Legal? Don't know. What is this then? Sporting venue. Golf something, surely. Go for energy. Left. Fellow initially. Joins. Sporting bear. Oh, lynx. Golf lynx. Wow. Okay. Fruit barrel turned upside down. A ton is a barrel. Various memories not accommodating new episode of forgetfulness. Various memories. Episode of forgetfulness. Don't know. Zoo resident orangutan. Let's just put it in. A lot of criticism about, oh, stoic for patient. Stick. Tin can. Oh, canaletto it's going to be. To dry. Something like that. Senior moment then. The episode of forgetting things. Public transport route. Terminal. Oh, silly Simon. Take weapons from police officers and a resident magistrate. Doge. Disarm. RM must be some sort of magistrate there. A baffling element of decor. Flooring. Double definition. This is something like tram something, don't know. Oh, insulin, this must be. Diabetes treatment. African resident, very much linked to African countries. Somali. Stand up. Comic. Sagacious, that other one. Insect is ant. Sagacious. Join must be unite. Unit E. I've seen something like that before. Public transport. Route rebuilt. Oh no, okay, public transport route. Train, something line. Is it tram line? Wow. Oh, legal, that must be. Okay, so there we go. Alright, so that's me racing. So you can see that that's very unimpressive. But it was right. 17th. With a little bit of discussion on the end. And Tom Stubbs is a good solver. So, you know, not absolutely dreadful. But look at Moan. Moan, that's a true time. 2 minutes. That's sick. That is really very, very impressive. Let's just see if there's any other names we recognise. Andy Fisher. So it's interesting as well, because Misty Gris and Andy Fisher are real times, and they've taken a minute longer than Moan, which is, you know, a minute when you're taking 3 minutes is an immense amount of percentage. So, yeah, really super impressive. Super impressive. Okay, so let's just quickly go back to that. I won't spend long on this because we've basically, we've already done today's puzzle, but and you could see there as well that many of the clues I didn't read properly. I saw zoo resident. I could see it was orangutan, so I'm not going to spend time worrying about how quite it worked. I'm trying to think about whether there's anything there that really warrants further discussion. Maybe the better way to do this is to say to people, I could do this every week if you want, as a bit of a sort of at the end of the video, and maybe that will result in different questions being asked about how those of us who are experienced at solving these things think about solving the clue. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. We'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.